Here we are, pretty much a week after BrickFair. I think it's about time that I made a video after coming back, since I never made one before I left. So I think this kind of makes up for it. Got 7 of the MOCs back up here off the dining room table, since it's getting around the time to move them so we can actually use the table again. And I've only got one more to put back up here. That's in another room right now, being the ball machine, because of its rather large size. In fact, this is actually where it's supposed to go. This is a temporary place for all of these. But let's talk a little bit about BrickFair this year. So BrickFair, as usual, has been held at the Dulles Expo Center. It went from August 2nd to August 5th, which also happened to be my birthday, so kind of got a 2-in-1 there. We had 1,150 registrants approximately, and just shy of 1,800 MOCs. So both the number of registrants and the number of MOCs, individual MOCs we had, were significantly higher than previous years. In fact, the MOCs, I'd say, were probably 600 to 800 more than we had last year, and we had almost double the number of registrants. So we've definitely had a big boost in those two areas. Found a good place to stay during the expo. Stayed there at this Town Place Suites by the Marriott, which actually worked out pretty well price-wise and everything. It was a pretty nice little facility right there behind the wind gate. That's usually one of the places selected for BrickFair to reserve rooms. And being a suite, we kind of had our own little apartment. So a full kitchen with the refrigerator, range, microwave, garbage disposer, dishwasher, things like that. Plus, it was fully equipped with pots and pans, silverware, and dishware, so it was ready to make your own meals if you wanted. And so it kind of worked out for breakfast each morning, having those. What else did I notice? Well, the trip up to BrickFair actually took only about 2 hours from here, going to Fredericksburg to Chantilly. And traffic-wise, that's about what it is average. As long as you don't get any jams, then you probably add about an hour or 2 onto it. But once we got to BrickFair, we actually kind of ran into a bit of a surprise, because we got there around 4 p.m. there on Thursday, because that's usually what we shoot for, because we usually don't have a problem in our category with the amount of Mindstorms and Technic that we usually get there. However, there was a lot more Technic registered this year than before, and we found that the Mindstorm and Technic tables were all filled by the time we got there. And I have, 8 MOCs that need those spaces, 2 of them being, requiring their own tables. So I needed at least 2 tables just for 2 MOCs, and then the 6 to put them wherever else. So with that crisis going on, we spoke with Todd Webb, and Todd is the 7-foot guy with the glasses there, who is the creator of BrickFair, so he's the person to talk to if you have any issues there. And so he was actually kind enough to give us a spot over by the bingo section. And, we got 2 more tables put over there with the cloths, and it actually worked out pretty well, so I was kind of given my own space, which was actually quite convenient. And we were also located just near the video game booths that they set up, so we also had a source of power. So we ran over to the Walmart that they had put in the other area that one of the expo halls used to be. So that actually worked out pretty well, because we needed to run over and get an extension cord and a surge protector, along with some duct tape, because we needed to get some power over to the table, since 4 of the MOCs I had required some power. After all that was set up, we set all the MOCs up and got them all plugged in, and just waited for Friday and the public days. So just used the days before to test for any potential problems. Alright, anyway. Not too bad of a year. So these are all the MOCs that I had. Again, this is 7 of them. This one here is the Robotics Invention System line follower I put together. I actually slapped this thing together 2 to 3 days before the event started. Because, you know, I had another RCX microcomputer left, and I had 2 Technic motors, and just enough parts left to probably build something small. So I came up with this. Just 2 drive motors geared 5 to 1, and it's got skids and 2 light sensors, and it carries a LiPo battery on the top to give it extended life for the public hours, being that public hours are 5 hours long. And it was also my response, because there's a lot of people that ask about, you know, their son or something like that that just got a Mindstorms kit that want to get started in it. So I figured a good, simple line follower model is a good thing to show for that. So I put that together. And we have the Ackerman steering vehicle, or pretty much Ackerman tractor trailer. We got our tractor trailer part here, well, the tractor part with the Ackerman steering concept, which basically, Ackerman steering gives you a steering form where the inner wheel in a turn turns more than the outer wheel does. So they have different radii circles, so it actually doesn't push in a turn. So it has a more realistic turning capability. And of course coupled with a rear differential for that. And then our 5th wheel trailer setup, full of minifigures with interior lighting. You know, just a small thing, not a whole lot of detail, but I'm going to expand the detail inside the trailer a bit more. And maybe refine this tractor to look a little more actually like a vehicle. The tractor trailer just sat static with its lights on. It didn't have it do anything because there really isn't anything for it to do. Of course, that was following a black line. I had 2 NXT test pads coupled together for that. The Spectre Versatile Rover was also static, but I kept the Kodak PlaySport camera mounted on it, recording the public during the public days. And I am trying to get that video on YouTube, being 18 gigabytes after I put it together. It's taking 26 hours, according to my calculations, to get it on there. Because there's only like a 300 kilobytes per second upload rate here, which is rather dismal for stuff. And it's not even high definition video, it's standard definition. And we have the bricklayer prototype that I put together. My mechanical based response to trying to make a domino layer, which didn't work out for dominoes, so instead I changed it to laying 2x4 bricks using a cam action on the back to spread the bricks out on both sides, and then an 8-to-1 worm gear drive to drive it along, so the bricks are just dragged along with the floor and ejected out the sides. There was also a static model there since I couldn't really do anything with that one. Then we had everyone's favorite robot from Short Circuit, Johnny 5. Now this one stayed immobile. It didn't actually move around, but I had its arms move and its head bob and this little laser thing go up and down. I actually need to do some videos on these, but I can give it a small demo. An RCX and NXT combo. I'll need that up. See if I can get him to go here. Let's just get a small demonstration. Of course, it helps if the RCX is on. It runs every 10 seconds. So a lot of people were trying to get it to start by putting their hand in front of the ultrasonic sensor. But that's really all it did. And he will probably retire, because I might want to use this RCX in NXT and other creations. So that one might retire. Then we had Goliath. This is the robot I used in stock sumo, which got first place. A little too easily, I might add. We only had one other competitor, and then we threw in a third contender, which was Tobin's Drawbot. And it was okay, but I would have preferred a little more competition in stock class. We were kind of running pretty low on people. What is that flashing thing supposed to mean? I hope it's not something to do with low battery. Anyway, did some minor upgrading to it from last year, including holding an ultrasonic sensor in the back, which never got any use. So, like I say, it was a little too easy on the sumo matches, but I probably preferred more competition. Anyway, and the last thing under here is the pneumatic engine. Not much different than the one seen in the video with the transmission on it. And that worked okay for Friday and about the first half of Saturday. By Sunday, it was so full of moisture and gummed up with water that built up in the air lines that it just refused to really work. So, well, we fixed the airbrush compressor that powers it, so the water separator on it actually works now. So it separates the moisture out of the air and drains out the bottom, so that way it should not have a problem. Plus we put dielectric grease in all the gears and a couple of other things, so that should help that work out a little better next time. And the only other thing is to go to the ball machine downstairs and talk a little bit about that. Before I do that, there's something on here I have to point out, because nobody so far has pointed it out in any of their videos from BrickFair, is these. All these Lego flowers. It seems we had a bit of a flower girl there at BrickFair that was putting all these Lego flowers on everyone's MOCs. Nobody knew who was doing it, but people had some ideas, so it was kind of a in-house joke we had going on there. So, but hey, you got to keep them, so you might as well use them for something later. The only other interesting thing we had there is we actually had a couple get engaged at BrickFair there this year, and somebody made the joke that we need to have the wedding ceremony there next year. So I guess maybe someone should build a chapel out of Lego, or an arch out of Lego, or something like that. So, a couple of interesting things happened there this year. Well, anyway, let's see if we can get a look at the ball machine and talk a little bit about what's going on with that thing. And here we are downstairs now with the ball machine. And this actually did pretty well this time at BrickFair. It didn't actually have as many problems as the previous versions of it did after having some refit done to it. As an example, was taking this conveyor belt assembly that was out here out and replacing it with just a normal rack. And a couple of other things. We did add a couple of these little bumpers, and we're going to stick one right here, because sometimes the balls tend to go past and then off to the side there. Did a little programming change. The programming change I made to allow these arms to be adjusted in operation with the NXT buttons was pretty helpful, because then you don't have to stop it to reset it. You can see some more of those flowers on this thing. And we actually bought 3 minifigures just to add to it. And I've got a whole pack of more minifigures that I gotta find some tools for and stuff, so we'll probably add a couple more to this now, because people have pointed out that that's a nice touch having the minifigs on here. And I added this little lever for the air compressor, so I don't have to try to reach in here to turn it on and off, but this whole air compressor thing is going to be overhauled, because actually the major problem that this was having was the power functions medium motors that drive this were stalling because they were overheating. We put some dielectric grease on these gears now, and that helps reduce some of the friction and all, but if you look closely you can see some gear dust on the parts surrounding the compressor because it's running for so long under load that it's actually grinding the gears apart. And the medium motors, they just can't handle the load being geared up 3 to 5 for an extended period of time. So I'm going to have to upgrade those power functions motors to either the new L motors, which is the large ones, or the XL, extra large motors. The L motors can actually be dropped in place of these medium motors without a problem, because they don't lose too much speed, but they've got about 2 to 3 times the torque of these medium motors. Now with the XL motors, I'd have to redesign this because they're significantly larger. Yeah, that their rotation speed is about half of what these are. Because all Lego motors have thermistors wired in series to the motor. And those are designed to act as overcurrent protection for the motors. So as the motor heats up, the current at which the cutoff cuts off at actually decreases. So as the motor gets hotter, the cutoff current point decreases. So if your temperature of your motor is like 0 degrees Celsius at the freezing point, it may have like 1.5 amps that it has to exceed before it shuts off. If the motor warms up to about 50 Celsius, it may only be 0.7 of an amp when it cuts off. So that was the issue with these power functions motors. They were overheating to the point where the cutoff was turning off the motor. And both these motors have to run for these 4 mini pumps to provide enough pressure and at the rate that they're pumping with that 3 to 5 gear ratio in order to build up 25 to 30 psi for this thing to work. It does sort of work on only one motor driving 2 pumps, but it's just barely be able to operate at that. And then it gets to a point where it just can't maintain enough pressure anymore. And that's primarily with the gate over there, where the ball just can't get past it. So the air compressor motors are going to be looking at an upgrade. And also, I'm not going to have the compressor manually operated like this anymore. I'm going to use that RCX over there because there's an extra motor port on it. I'm going to use one of those 9-volt Dacta motors through a worm gear block to actuate this power function switch for these motors. So the motors can be turned on and off via computer control instead of manually. But it's also inconvenient that I can start everything from one side but have to come over here to get to this. That also allows the RCX to turn off the compressor if there's a problem somewhere with the ball machine. Because, for instance, if there's a ball not at the gate for some reason because of the timing in the program, it has everything else stop until the problem is fixed. Problem is the compressor's manual, so it stays running even though there's nothing on the pneumatics that's being operated, so it ends up over-pressurizing the system. So that's why I need to add a computer control to the compressor so it will shut that off if there's a problem. And of course it will shut it off automatically if I use the stop switch. That's really the only things with this. And as far as expansion goes, I don't know if this can really be expanded beyond the size of the board that it's already on. The only way this could expand is in height. So I may have to actually have it go up higher. We'll see what we come up with. There's our other flower right at the top there. But it's kind of mostly got most of the nook and crannies worked out where it has faults. So that's pretty much it. So we'll just have to wait till BrickFair 2013 in Chantilly comes along, and we'll